Well, hello, I'm Cara from Kidsafe WA. Kidsafe is a non-profit, non-government organisation, and our main goal is to prevent unintentional deaths and injuries for children under 14 years. We do that for a range of different programs. I'm the manager of our road safety program, so today I'm going to be going through choosing and using a child car restraint. If you have any more questions at the end of our session, you're welcome to go over to our stand and come and ask. So we'll start it off. So as I said, we're a non-government, non-for-profit organisation. We have a range of different programs, as you can see. Our two main ones are home and car and road, but we also do we have playgrounds, and we also do safety in schools, and we also do research. If you want any more information on that, you can go onto our website. So in terms of background, why is it important to make sure that you choose an appropriate car as child restraint and make sure it's installed correctly? Basically because transport-related injury is the leading cause of death in children under 14 years. And the risk factors is if the child isn't restrained in a car seat, if the car seat isn't suitable for them, so let's say that the child's too small for that particular car seat, then it can put them more at risk. So obviously by being in a car seat that's installed correctly into your vehicle and by having the baby correctly strapped in there, you're increasing your chances, of safety. So in terms of selecting it, it's important to consider the child's age and size. In terms of age, that's based on the legal requirements. So your legal requirements is a bare minimum that you need to do to keep babies safe. But you also need to consider the manufacturer requirements of the car seat, so the instructions that come with your car seat, and also the size of your child. So if you've got a particularly tiny 2-year-old, you might choose a different car seat than what you would if they were bigger, if that makes sense. So what is the law? Legally, you must keep a baby rearward facing until 6 months of age. That's the bare minimum that you need to do. We recommend keeping baby rearward facing as long as possible. By keeping them rearward facing in either a capsule or a convertible car seat, you're protecting their spine, neck and belly. So it's really important not to turn their car seat until they've exceeded the manufacturer requirements of that seat. So whether it's a weight-based seat or whether it's height marked. So if you've got a height marked restraint, like this one here, so excuse me. So you loosen the straps off, and to raise it up, got this one here, you can see there's height markers. So even if your baby is over 12 months of age, you're not to turn them to forward facing until their shoulders are above here. This bottom padding is only in there for comfort, it's not in there for safety. So as soon as baby gets big, you can just pull that out to give them more space. Right, so the next stage is they must be kept, so you can turn baby, as we said, once over 6 months and they meet the height marker, but they must stay in an inbuilt harness until they're 4 years of age. So an inbuilt harness is one like this. So you've got your shoulders, your hips, and up between the legs. Now if they still fit in the inbuilt harness beyond 4, then keep them in there. All right, so keep them in the inbuilt harness for as long as possible for the same reasons, just it's your safest option. So next stage is 4 to 7. So once they are 4, they can legally go into a booster seat. So once they meet, if they're big enough and they meet the requirements, so basically I always say keep them in inbuilt harness for as long as possible, but once they're over 4, they're above the bottom height marker on the booster seat, then they're able to use it. Right, and you can use that with either your black sash seatbelt or you can use an accessory harness as well. Alright, so here's a few different options. So we've got the MaxiGuard and we've got the Evolve there. They're what's known as a Type G seat. They've got an inbuilt harness that goes all the way from 6 months up to 8 years. So it's kind of like your racing car driver is usually how I explain it to the kids. And I've seen some really big 7-year-old boys in these seats and they love it. Very comfy. Alright, so the law in terms of the front seat, obviously it's always safer to have children in the back. Legally, once a child is over the age of 7, they can sit on the back seat without any car seat at all. But the thing is, what to consider is that even though they've had a birthday, is that you need to make sure that when they're sitting on that back seat, they need to be able to sit how you are on your chair. So if your bottom all the way back, knees bent over, and you want that lap belt sitting nicely across their hips with the sash part across their chest. Okay, so if they don't look like that, then still keep them in a car seat until they do. So even if they're 8 or 9, still keep them in a seat until they sit nicely on that back seat. So legally, they can go into the passenger seat once they turn 7. We recommend at Kidsafe keeping them in the back pretty much always. But if you do want to put them in the passenger seat, not until they're at least 10 to 12, mainly because that airbag is designed, on an adult, is designed to come out at our chest. on a child, it can come out at their face. So if you are going to put a child over the age of 7 in the passenger seat, I just suggest you move that seat all the way back a bit, so if the airbag does go off, it won't make any contact with them. But I've got a 13-year-old and I still make her sit in the back. Okay. So in terms of like your Australian standards, obviously Australian standards basically a legal document that all manufacturers have to follow in terms of making a seat. So that way you know that if your car seat meets Australian standards, that they all have to tick some pretty significant boxes to be able to be passed. Right, so and they sort of include things like your height markers. They came out in sort of 2011. They went from weight to height. Your colour-coded seatbelt pathways, which I really love. So your colour-coded seatbelt pathway on this one, blue means rearward facing and yellow means forward. So no matter what car seat you have, where you see the blue, whether it's, that's where you go when your seat's rearward facing, and wherever you see the yellow, that's the pathway you use for forward. So as a fitter, I find it so much, it just gives you that reassurance of knowing that you're fitting it correctly. There's also booster seats designed for larger children. So in the corner there, you've got what's known as the Encore 10, and that can take a child up to the age of 10. So you've got so many options now of car seats. It's exciting. So the new also was introduced in 2013 was your ISOFIX system. The ISOFIX system is basically a different way of installing your car seat. So instead of using the seat belt going through, if you've got ISOFIX points in your car, then you can use this and it can click straight into the points on your vehicle. So it's not necessarily any safer, but it's just another option of installing your car seat. Also, what was introduced was car seats that were suitable for aircraft use. So basically, if they've got the ISOFIX, contact your airline and they'll give you a list of which ones are suitable. But if they've got that little green sticker, what that means is that you can take it onto an aircraft and just hook it into your into the plane seat. Right, so just another option for you. So other changes were, as I showed you earlier, was the MaxiGuard and the Evolve, which have the inbuilt harness all the way through to 8 years. That's a new change, which is a fantastic one because it means that kids can stay in the inbuilt harness for as long as possible. Also, there's now car seat capsules on the market which have been designed for premature babies. So if you have a really tiny or a prem baby, there's one called the Safe and Sound Unity, which you can actually bring the straps down to make it smaller for a smaller baby. So, and they've also been tested for 2 kilos, so that's a new addition as well. So that's the one in the corner here, so you can see how the harness comes down to be smaller. All right, so in terms of restraint installation, I'm going to give you a bit of a demo. So I'll pop this car seat back down, so I'm going to install it for a newborn. Okay, so the most important thing first is that we need to drop it down to rearward facing. To do that, can't really see, but I'm pressing 2 buttons to drop it down. And I'm also, on this car seat, I'm pulling out a stabiliser bar. So if I turn it around, that's how we want it to look. Okay, on your back seat. In terms of position, whoops, I'm a bit caught up. Yeah. That's all right. All sorted. Right, in terms of position on the back seat, the middle is considered to be the safest, mainly because if you get hit on the side, they're less likely to be affected. But if you have any back issues or you're particularly tiny, you've got a big forward drive, then on the side is fine. All car seats now are designed to have head protection, so they've all got either the big side wings on them or they've got this little head protection here. So in terms of installation, I'm going to be using a seatbelt today to show you. So basically with our seatbelt, we want it nice and flat, and you want it untwisted, and you go straight underneath the padding. Okay. So it's coming. Straight through the padding, straight through the other side, and then we just do it up into our buckle down here. Right, so what we want to do next, if I was to go straight through like that, it's going to be sliding across the back seat, and we're not going to like that very much. Most important thing of car seat fitting is you want to make sure that seatbelt is super tight. So grab the sash part, throw all your weight on there. Don't worry, you can't break it. It's been crash tested, okay? Then use a little clip over the top to hold it in place. So we wanted to pull all the slack out, and there's one clip on this side too that we put on, and then we just tuck all this down and make that look pretty. So when I put my hand here, it's nice and firm and it's not sliding. So what you want is that when you put your hand here, you want it nice and firm, so baby doesn't slide across the car as you go around corners, right? But you want a little bit of movement here to help protect baby in a crash. If the car seat's completely solid, the baby's going to take all the impact. So it's really important to have a little bit of wiggle just to help cushion them, okay? Now, you also have a top tether. Now, does everyone know where the anchor points are in their car? Yes? No? Some are really straightforward. So if you have a sedan, you know they're on the back dash. Others can be a bit trickier. So get out your vehicle owner's manual and have a look. If you get stuck, you can always call Kidsafe and we can help you find them. So whether you're using Isofix or whether you're using the seatbelt to install your car seat, you still have to use top tether. So we just go over the top. All right, and it connects straight on. In some circumstances, it won't reach. In that case, you'll need to use an extension strap. So if you need an extension strap, you can pick those up from Kidsafe, or most baby stores have them as well. So with your top tether, what we want is, we don't want it too tight. So you just throw one hand up here and you just pull nice and firm. But we want untwisted, and we want to get the slack out. If I was to just pull on it, then the whole car seat's going to tilt up. So it's really important to put your hand against it as you pull it. The idea is that the seatbelt or the Isofix are keeping it firm to the vehicle seat. This is keeping it connected to the car. For whatever reason, if your seatbelt was to come undone or the Isofix was to come disconnected, then this is keeping it attached. So you can imagine if it was to go up, baby's still very much protected. So it's kind of like our plan B. To get baby in and out of the seat, you can go under or over, or you can press the button on the side to drop it down, and you can pop baby in that way. It's completely up to you. There's no right or wrong way of doing it. So I'll just move on to my... So in terms of the harness adjustment, I'll just move around this way. So on this one here, we've got a harness. So basically with the harness, to get baby in and out, to loosen it off, on this one you've got like a little metal thing in the front. So you lift that up and you pull. Press the button here. Now make sure baby's bottom is all the way back in the crease. Right, then go up between the legs and click. So you want baby sitting, so their leg, arm, and little head. Now with the harness, you want it so if they're throwing forward, it's going to hold them, but not so tight that they're squished. So just pull the strap like this. All right, you just want to make it so you can just get one finger between the strap and baby. My husband used to like putting his hand between the two straps and pull it firm and then slide his hand out. So it's completely up to you. As baby grows, you'll need to move the headrest up. On this car seat, what you need to do, you have to do it manually. So you loosen it all off at the back, and you'll see a plate down the bottom. There we go. And you'll see a plate down here as you loosen it off. And at the plate, you unhook from the plate, you bring it through to the front, go up through the next hole, and you hook it back on again. With this car seat here, all you need to do to loosen it is just loosen your straps off, right, and just slide it up and down. So all you have to do is just slide it up so it's sitting just above where the child's shoulders are for a really good fit. Okay? I've lost my clicker thingy. Thanks. I'm glad you noticed where it went. All right. So with the top tether, you're wanting it to go all the way over. Make sure you've got the correct anchor point. Okay, so to do that, check your vehicle owner's manual. When you buy a brand new car seat, they'll give you a bulk kit with it. If you've already got an inbuilt anchor in your car already, then just go straight onto it. Otherwise, sometimes what they'll give you is just a hole in your vehicle, and just use your vehicle owner's manual and it will tell you which parts to use and how to install your bracket. Okay. So in terms of you wanting any more details, this is my sort of email address, and that's our website. On our website, you can basically go on there and it's interactive, so there's lots of different fact sheets. We've got, even if you're wanting home safety information, we've got some on there as well.